I'm made whole. I got my Joy-Con in.
Oh, good.
My right Joy-Con. It works perfectly. They just sent me a brand new one. So they, like, I think with my Wii U gamepad, they actually like fixed it. They didn't even bother. They just sent me a new one. I don't know. I'm guessing they're probably replacing a lot of hardware with the launch.
Yeah.
So,
It's like that graph that shows like right at shipping, technology fails the highest, and then after that, it goes down completely, and then like 7 years later or something like that.
but yeah, it works perfectly. And also the boys do like Mario Kart now. They discovered free roam, and they've only been playing the free roam. They've been like,
it's perfect for kids, but it could be more perfect. It could be perfecter.
it could be more perfect, but they don't care. Like, yeah, because the races stress them out. So they just wander around. They go in Peach's Castle, and they're like, oh, it's fun, or the Peach Castle Raceway, whatever it's called.
It is
They're
awesome.
having fun with that. And the music is so good. Oh, my God.
Yeah, there's that six golden coins one that I really like. Dun, 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 dun,
oh, yeah.
Yeah. I think that Mario Kart World, you know, it may have been designed to be a 7 to 8 year game. It may have been designed to be like, this is not a game that like you're going to power play for 4 days and then be done with it forever. This is a game that's intended to have cycles of DLC and to find the groove after maybe a few weeks of playing it, come back to it. It's, you know, I think that that's kind of what they're after, because 8 Deluxe, I think, surprised them.
Yeah.
With how much longevity you could get out of a Mario Kart game.
Yeah, it's a decade-long game, I think. Yeah, they're having fun with it. I mean, I played a little bit more of it. It's okay. It's Mario Kart. It's fun. But that free roam definitely is a hit in this household.
Do you remember when Smash Ultimate came out and it was like exciting at first because it was a new Smash, but then you were like, I've played Smash Brothers.
Yeah, that's exactly it.
And you're like, am I getting anything other than Smash Brothers out of this?
Even the Wii U version, when they came out with the 3DS version at the same time, I played the 3DS version. And then I like went over to the Wii U version. I was like, I just kind of played this. And so I never played the Wii U version either. So, and I feel like I'm still coming off the 3DS version.
I honestly, my favorite way to play 3DS games is on my Odin 2, because you can up-res it by 8x or something, and they look beautiful. And if only the touchscreen stuff worked better. I was trying to play Super Princess Peach recently. I remember thinking it was an okay platformer, and it looks really great on the Odin 2, and it's nice to, you know. But there's inevitably with DS games, when you emulate them, you're going to run into some bullshit limitation. Like, oh, this is the part where you have to blow on the screen. Or this is the part where, like, yeah, the touch works on the Odin 2, but, like, you need a stylus to do the trampolines or whatever. And, like, inevitably you run into some problem. And, it's something that has always bugged me. Wii, DS, 3DS, Wii U, of course, anything that uses the gamepad. These are not games that will be easily transferred to other systems. Mario Galaxy alone was kind of a challenge. When we talked about the Switch last time, people were annoyed that I was saying, like, I like that it's just a hardware upgrade and otherwise it's just a Switch. But they were like, oh, you want to pay $500 for no innovation? I was like, I want to pay $500 for better games, not for better menus. Fuckface. But Jason, as usual, was taking their side. He was saying, he's like, well, part of the fun of new tech is whatever the gimmick is. He's like, I miss the gimmick. I want the gimmick. And I'm like, dude, like the Switch 1 has like 6 gimmicks built in. Like, how many more gimmicks do you want? You want this to be the system that like you play with your dick and no, you know, like, and only the launch title actually uses the dick compatibility?
Yeah. I know the 3DS, like, games started coming out with only 2D, and you're like, okay, so
3D, VR, AR, motion controls, touch screen, dual screen, triple screen, like, fuck off. Like, it's, at the end of the day, I want a video game that's going to be really, really good and playable on future consoles. And somebody clapped back and they were like, well, maybe you don't emulate. And I was like, well, the future systems will emulate, right? Yeah. The future NSO will emulate.
Well, yeah, and that's the thing is, like, you know, they spend so much like time and money on these, like in the Wii generation to put out these gimmick games, and you can't even really port a lot of them to the Switch, like a conventional gaming systems.
Yeah, notice they haven't.
So it is like weirdly a game preservation thing where it's like, well, now I can't play it unless I get 20-year-old tech, which is failing.
Yeah.
And or emulate it poorly.
Yeah, and the beautiful thing about emulation is that you can upscale those. Nothing looks better than a Wii game in 1080. It's awesome.
Oh yeah.
It does feel really good when you can actually port the controls and you're like, all right, new Super Mario Brothers Wii with a fucking Pro controller. Here we go. It's gonna work fine. So I'm happy. I'm happy that the Switch 2 isn't some bullshit, and it seems to be selling well. So there's that.
Yeah.
There were other comments when we were talking about it that were about like consumer rights. So I think it's one thing to be like, that thing's too expensive, I don't want to pay. I think this is a wonderful thing. I think you should do that. I think you should always, whether it's at the grocery store or elsewhere, you should always start with like, what am I willing to pay for what products? Right? It's all good. I've heard some arguments about like, no, they ought to make it cheaper for so that all children can like Nintendo is Santa Claus.
All children.
So like, every child's gonna have a Switch 2. Like they're gonna set the price at what people are willing to pay. And a lot of time, for a Switch 2, you buy a Switch 2 for the family, probably, right? So that the grown-ups are buying it, the whole family's buying it. They can get away with the price. But anyway, if you want to fight against the price, hey, like, more power to you. I got nothing but respect. Really, I got more respect for the guy who's like, you know what? Maybe I don't need to play video games that badly, that I need to shell that out. I got more respect for him than the one who's shelling out money he doesn't have for a system he doesn't need.
Right.
And I continue to believe that like maybe I think some of this might be like our memories of the SNES and the Nintendo 64 and the GameCube of like, you got to get that next gen. The old one's done. Like you got to go to the next gen and you got to get the new experiences. I don't think we live in that world anymore. I think the Switch 1 will continue to have great support for a long time, probably. And you can continue to be a Switch 1 house.
I can sort of see it because, I mean, the Game Boy was basically, Nintendo took old calculator tech and made a cheaper thing, cheaper than the Game Boy that lasted longer with batteries. I can understand that kind of like, they kind of miss that sort of tact, but
yeah.
I mean, the Switch 2 is still kind of old tech. Like it's going to be basically obsolete very soon, and it's going to be around for hopefully 8 years. Who knows? So it depends on how the system sells.
That's the way I continue to look at it. Is it's probably an 8-year-old's computer, probably, that you're buying with those $500.
And they'll have the Switch 2 Lite or the Switch 2 OLED or the Switch Mega,
and the Micro, and the Micro.
And the Micro. Don't forget the Micro.
And the Micro. They're definitely going to have a smaller one for sure. No, going from here to, I mean, I swear. They made a big, like, because I think it's impractically large. Because children can't, you want to talk about children, they can't play that fucking thing.
No, they can't play it. They can't.
I swear they made it oversized so that they can make it right-sized later. That's what they did. So I think it's one thing to be like, hey, I don't like the price, I'm out. But people are starting to talk about like consumer rights violations, or this inclination for video game companies to violate consumer rights, or that there should be a consumer rights movement around some of the practices. And I'm all for that too. I think that's cool too. I think like if an industry you care about keeps serving you a shitty product, on the one hand you could just stop buying that product entirely, but that would be a shame. Like, I'm a movie lover. If people were fucking me over with movies, which I feel like they are, at some
like
point,
with Amazon digitally, you're buying something, but you're actually just kind of indefinitely renting it.
Yeah.
Although I think aren't there laws now, or at least in some countries, maybe it's like Europe, if like Amazon takes that off their like service, they have to like pay you, they have to refund you. If they don't, they should do that, I think.
Totally.
Because it's like,
yeah, that's a good example.
Especially if you're using the word buy, like there's a implied ownership with that.
Yeah,
with that button
expectation
saying
of permanent something. Yeah, so a lot of people, they were like, hey, will you guys talk about the Stop Killing Games initiative by YouTuber Ross Scott, also known as Accursed Farms. So he was inspired by this in April of last year, actually, after Ubisoft shut down The Crew, making the game unplayable, online game. And he's like, hey, enough already. And so he's in the EU. And I guess the way the EU works is the EU Citizens Initiative give legal weight to petitions hitting 1 million signatures across at least 7 member states. So it's really about, in the EU, it's about trying to get as many signatures as possible. I mean, they did GDPR first. You know, you can probably get the EU to regulate all kinds of shit, right? So his major or the movement Stop Killing Games major points are what they're asking for there to be regulation around, I suppose, or at the very least have companies opt to do this. So it's around publishers shutting down game servers because that destroys paid products, erasing access and ownership. So an example, you know, the most famous example would be like shutting down World of Warcraft servers. So now you no longer, you know, you bought a game and you cannot play that game anymore, right? Like that's the...
Or a recent example was Conduit, or
Right.
not Conduit, Concord.
Concord was the big one, yeah.
Concord was on PS5. You know, you could go to the store, buy a disc, and then like I think it failed so hard that the servers were shut down, so you couldn't even use that disc when you brought it home.
And that
Like,
does seem
they're
like
still
an
selling it.
obvious law should be again, in my opinion. Like they're you know, and it's a little tricky because you're buying a game that, and we'll get into single player in a moment, but you know, in some cases you're buying a game where like the gameplay is the online experience. To me, there's an easy solution to that. You just make it so that there's no game to buy. You only ever buy into a subscription service. You only ever pay for, you know, Netflix, right? Like you don't pay for Netflix and then buy the movie and then the movie goes away. That'd be something sort of similar. Like through Disney Plus early access, I bought Snow White, and then Snow White went away forever. And the thing I bought, right? It should just be part of your, you know, it should be a subscription thing, so that when they end the service, you end your subscription. I don't understand why it's both. Buy the game and buy the subscription.
But even with the subscriptions, it's kind of strange. I remember doing a research paper about this, like, you know, back when we were in grad school. I think it was about the MMORPG Earth and Beyond, and the servers were shut down. And so I had a section of my paper about like, what does it even mean to like have a piece of art that you can't even like interact with anymore. Like
Yeah.
the servers are shut down, and like fans have to like resurrect it with like fan servers and like
Illegally.
basically hack it and
Yeah.
illegally, yeah.
Or in violation of
preserve.
license. Yeah, it's a shame. You know, and it's always been one of those problems. And you know, and I understand the other side of the coin a little bit. Even for the film, even the game preservation side, where you're like, well, I'm not sure that we're actually preserving the game as it was. You're kind of creating new servers. In other words, there's not, you know, the gameplay itself should be preserved. Maybe it's hard to preserve the game as it was at one time. But anyway, the campaign wants laws requiring publishers to release offline or private server modes when support ends. This, I don't know about a law, but this just seems fucking totally reasonable to me. So, you know, a lot of people, they've had to like really clarify this, because I guess some people were like, what do you want, for us to make our product open source? No, they don't want it open source. They want a stable final release where a server edition can be run locally from a client computer.
Yeah, it seems reasonable, and it's hard for me to be like, ooh, do I really want a law about that? But I also like laws that when I buy medicine, I know that I'm buying the thing in the jar is what it is.
Yeah.
And when I buy a game, I want to be able to play that game.
That's why I just come back to like, it should be, if you sold the game and somebody bought the game, and then there was an online subscription for online play, then I do think they need to have something in their permanent possession if they bought a game. That seems fair.
Yeah.
But I think that if they were only ever selling you a subscription service to play online, then it would be fair game to just stop providing that service at some point, right? Like a restaurant
Right.
closing or something. So again, I keep, this has become a big deal, but I'm like, I feel like it just comes down to that. It's just that damn simple.
I mean, like the restaurant closing down, it's still tragic that you won't be able to experience that anymore, but man, there's so many things that are like
things end,
vaporware,
you know?
lost
Yeah.
to time, yeah.
Things end. But I also think it would just be a really good gesture of goodwill from video game publishers to just be
Yeah,
like,
absolutely.
we know you love this, and we don't want it to go away either, because we're not selling it to you anymore. We're not making money off of it. You love it. Someday we'll come out with a sequel or something, and we'd love for you to like keep your love for the product alive. You know, it just seems, and I actually think that is at the root of this. It's real. I don't think it's really about commerce. I think it's about like, we've gotten a whiff that you hate us, or we've gotten
yes.
or we've gotten an overt message from you on Twitter or whatever, There's this guy, this publisher Thor from Pirate Software or whatever, and he had all these really bad faith, kind of like playing dumb responses to a lot of these calls.
Thor does not understand what Stop Killing Games is. Here it is in his words.
So for those who don't understand, the Stop Killing Games initiatives is basically, we don't want single-player games to have DRM that the developers can turn off and thus render the single-player games inactive anymore. This is what they want to change. It would impact every live service game that exists. Instead of just targeting single-player, always online games.
No, that's not what it is. Stop Killing Games includes single-player games, but nothing about it is specific to them. He completely made that up.
And it got people really riled up. And I think the reason it did was because you ever like in a fight with somebody and you're kind of like waiting for them to do the thing you hate that they do. And when they finally do it, you're like, see, you know, you're kind of like waiting for that moment. I think that's what keeps happening is you're like, I think they hate us. And then they do something that is hateful. And you're like, I fucking knew it.
This is the most uneducated take I have ever seen in games. Now, eat my entire ass. There were many other misunderstandings in your video. It's clear that you hate the initiative, and I doubt I would change that. That is correct. I would encourage you to at least hate it for what it accurately is. I do.
He says that so confidently. Oh, yeah, you knocked it out of the park. You understood everything.
It feels like these practices are all anti-us, right? So, yes, it's anti-consumer for sure. But it's also kind of like it's like anti-fan. You know what I mean?
I think it's also, you know, in the midst of these companies are laying off, like Microsoft laid off a ton of people.
Yeah, like 9,000. Over 9,000.
A lot of these game companies are just laying off their staff. And, of course, Nintendo's actually famously not.
They must have set the right price.
It's funny that people are like, oh, they're praising Nintendo for that, for not laying off their staff. But then they're also like, oh, but Mario Kart is too expensive.
I'm going to be like, how do you guys think this all works, right? Yeah.
So it's you got to balance your grievances, I guess. But no, but I completely agree. And about, like, there's no reason why there shouldn't be a playable version of Concord if you bought a fucking disc at Target or whatever.
There's a nice FAQ on the website, stopkillinggames.com. I got to say, this Ross guy, I'm pretty impressed by him. He's got his shit in order. I feel like he's not pissing in the wind on this.
Yeah.
I just used two turns of phrase, like the shit and piss, for some reason. I'm just looking through some of these questions in the FAQ. This one isn't the law on this already settled, is the question. And his answer, it mostly is within the United States. Right? Not the EU, though.
Oh.
But not in many other countries. Many existing laws are not written for a scenario where the seller destroys the product sold to the customer after the point of sale. Since this is not something that normally happens in the real world, the fact that there is so much ambiguity on this practice is part of why we're pursuing so many legal avenues, isn't it? So I wonder how does the United States regulate against it?
Yeah, because I mean, games still get shut down, and
it does happen. But it's probably coming back to what I was saying, which is they must draw a clearer distinction between what's a subscription license and what's a you know, a permanent product. Wouldn't this be a security risk? No, you know. Well, no. I think the idea with the stable final release that can be served from a client computer is you wouldn't play it over the public internet. You'd be playing it like peer-to-peer, IP to IP, right? There's, I guess, to say there's just no security risk is probably a little bit disingenuous, but won't this consumer action result in the end of live service games? No, the market demand and profitability of these games means the video game industry has an ongoing interest in selling these. Yeah, no, why would it stop them? No way.
If you try to tell me that every studio needs to run their live service game indefinitely or not want to run one at all, then no one's going to run them.
Oh no! He wheeled out that line about publishers having to support the game forever. He was literally watching the video earlier where it says it won't do that in big letters.
I'm confused about why this is not as simple as, like, subscription yes, purchase no.
That sounds. I mean, maybe somebody else can explain it to us. I'm sure they will, but
oh, they will. The comments are going to be long on this. You know, not since. I'll say this. You know, you talk about like Ethan Klein's lawsuits, right? And you expect some push. You expect people to be pissed off. They're in their camps or whatever. You could report it in the most neutral possible way, and they're still going to be like, "Oh my God, you guys don't even know the fucking half of it."
Blowing Ethan, and even though we don't even like watch Ethan.
I actually don't like him. But anyway, there were fewer dislikes on that video than there were on the Nintendo Switch one.
Of course.
The Nintendo Switch thing gets people riled up when you're like, I kind of like the thing I bought.
I do. It's great.
Yeah, go EJ.
I dropped the mask entirely. They can eat my entire ass, the whole thing.
Oh yeah. So there somebody in that Switch in the Switch comments said something like, "Well, I don't like the price is one thing, but I don't like the anti-consumer or the violation of consumer rights from Nintendo." And I was like, "What are they doing that violates consumer rights?" One of them was like they can brick the device anytime they want.
Oh yeah, for piracy. Yeah.
Yeah, well, then that would just be a violation of their terms of service. Well, I mean, bricking the device for that seems...
That seems extreme. I agree with that. Like, but at the same time, like, we know what you're doing.
Yeah.
Can they? I would hope that that's kind of illegal, but they're doing it apparently.
Yeah. Well, fair enough. I totally. We should have brought John on for this. He's the bargain hunter.
Right.
I'm sure he feels strongly about it. Like, don't take my game, because he's an MMO guy. He jumps from MMO to MMO.
Well, I played EverQuest. I think it is strange because those games like evolve so much over time. So it's like if they ended the service on that, it's like which version would you? I guess you just preserve the latest one.
Yeah.
But like it changed so much over time, and I think it's still going actually at EverQuest. But
I mean, when it comes to software generally, I think it's a good, reasonable practice to be like, here's a final stable version, everybody. Thanks for downloading. If you bought it, anyway, there's not much else to say about it. I think it's good. I saw so many thumbnails and so much anger and so much posting about it that I thought for sure there was something silly. And then I read it and I was like, no,
it sounds reasonable.
That's good. I support it.
Yeah.
That you should not buy something that somebody has like a leash on the entire time. If they have a leash on it, then it should be a subscription service. It should be a temporary license.
When you paid money, you either got to keep what you paid for, or if it was a service, you were told when your access ends. The vast majority of online-only games do neither of those. The games industry is trying to upend basic commerce.
And likewise, I don't think they should brick hardware, but I do think that like they should kick you off the NSO, or I mean, if you're found to be misusing, if you buy enterprise software and you're found to be misusing it and you violate their terms of service, their contracts normally say like you got to pay us the rest of the term and you don't get to use the product anymore. A lot of times the contract says that.
Yeah, they're getting kicked off the NSO seems like a no-brainer.
Yeah.
Although I hear like they brick the system because people buy other systems after doing the piracy, and then it works. But that doesn't make sense. That doesn't make sense to me. I feel like it should. It should be tied to the account, not the system.
I've never fucked with Switch emulation or Switch pirating stuff on the Switch. It feels like something bad will happen.
Yeah, Nintendo. It's like they come after you if you use like the wrong piece of music in your video or something.
Yeah, exactly. Don't even hum it.
Don't. Oh no! Cease and desist. Or God forbid, make a fan game.
That should be the next one. StopStrikingVideos.com. Does this mean that we want Nintendo to not have copyright rights anymore? Of course not. We just want the ability to hum.
But if you were to say we're on the dumbest timeline, I don't know if I could argue against that. See ya.
Subscribe to Red Cow Entertainment on Patreon for full episodes every other week.